at any time, because we are comfortable, only few people are there and we have 1 hour time, and so you can always stop me, ask me any doubt, interrupt me. Don't worry about the others also. Just it is your problem. The problem, your problem is your problem. Nobody is going to solve. So you have to sort it out. So don't just care about what other people think. Okay, right. So topics of the last class, we solved problems in the last class. We solved a problem on pressure measurement using manometer. So that you have to just simple formula P equal to rho GH. Whether you are going down or up is a matter. So one thing is when you are going down, the pressure increase. So plus rho GH I have to give. When you go up, minus rho GH you have to give. So that is one thing. And so another thing is Pascal's law. At the same height and different tubes, you will have the same pressure. Okay, so that is the other one you have to remember. So just to go sequence by say, so we have discussed in the last class. If I want to go from here to here, so from here to here, I have to come first. So I have to add this pressure rho GH, and then I got here, and this is also same pressure. So I have to go here. So this rho GH I have to use. So you have to know which liquid, that particular density and that particular height you have to use. So once I get here, again, I have to go up. So minus rho GH. So in this way, you can find out the differential pressure between 2 points. Okay, so that is the way you have to tackle. I think there will be a problem on manometric manometers. Okay, and then we have discussed a problem using the first law and finding out the properties CP, CR also we have found out here. From delta U, you found out CV, and then CV is used to find and delta H is used to measure the CP, calculate the CP, and R is calculated. That is the way we have delta. And then we have taken two problems on closed systems. So I always told it goes from one point to another point. A number of processes may be there. It may be 2 processes, 3 processes, 4 processes, or any infinite number of processes. It doesn't matter. So first thing is I have to know all the properties at state 1. And to state 2, I have to use the process relation. I have to know what process, isobaric, isochoric, isothermal, adiabatic, or polytropic. So I have to know the process. So process means I have the process relations. And the one property here out of PVT. Okay. So one property, if you know, the pressure ratio, volume ratio, temperature ratio are related. So if I know pressure ratio, get volume ratio, temperature ratio. If I know volume ratio, get temperature ratio, pressure ratio. Like that, I can find out the property ratios at 1 and 2. And because I know P1, V1, T1, I can find out P2, V2, T2. And again, in the same way, you go to the next point. I know the process. Okay. So one property is constant, or I know one property here. Okay. So once I know property here, one property ratio I know. The other 2 property ratios I can get from the equation of state. So because they are related, property ratios are related. And if I have adiabatic process, I know that T2 by T1 is P2 by P1 to the power of gamma minus 1 by gamma. That is equal to V1 by V2 to the power of 1 by gamma minus 1. You have to remember that. Okay. So you can derive, no problem. From the fundamentals, you can derive. But because it takes time to derive yourself, some relations, if you remember, you can save time and you can feel comfortable and confident. Okay. So that is the way I have. Once I know all the properties, right, I can find out delta U, CV into T2 minus T1, delta H, CP into T2 minus T1, and Q and W based on what process. W I have to find out. So we know that isochoric process it is 0, isobaric P into V2 minus V1, or isothermal P1 V1 log V2 by V1, or isopolytropic or adiabatic P1 V1 minus P2 V2 by that index minus 1. So in that way, I can find out W. Once I know delta U and W, I can find out Q. Okay. So in that way, I can find out, I should be able to find out the heat transfer, work transfer, change in internal energy, change in enthalpy. Okay. So they may ask finally, after 3 or 4 processes, whatever number of processes are there, what is the final total heat transfer? What is the total work transfer? Okay. Like that, you will be asked. So you have to find out Q12, Q23, Q34, W12, W23, W34, like that, and you can add them. And if it is a cycle, the change in property will be 0 finally. It has to come back to its original property. Okay, so that is the way we have to tackle any first law for a closed system. We have done one problem here using one isentropic and then isobar. And we have done another problem using 3 processes. One is a linear relation. So to calculate the work for standard processes, we have the formulae, and there can be some other arbitrary relation may be there. This is linear relation P equal to AB plus C. So whenever I have this, because W is integral PDV, I have to have pressure in terms of V. So I have to substitute P as a function of V, then integrate it from 1 to 2. So that is the way I have to go about it. So here we have 3 processes: linear relation and isobar, and then isotherm. Okay. So this is the way we have to deal with first law of thermodynamics applied to open systems. Then we have dealt with unsteady flows. It can be a filling of something or evacuating something. So we have done 2 problems, and a spherical vessel that is getting evacuated, and an oxygen cylinder where oxygen is taken for some purpose. So in that way, we have seen how to tackle it. So mainly the mass conservation will be the main thing in unsteady flows. So you have to know initial mass and final mass, and you have to find out whether the mass is accumulated or evacuated. So you can find out the difference in the mass flow. And then first law for a flow process. Okay. So when you have flow process, so we have to see what are all the things that are given. So usually the steady state steady flow problem, when you take, so I will have heat transfer is equal to m dot into theta 2 minus theta 1, where theta is change in enthalpy, kinetic energy, and potential energy. So in this, we have to see which are significant. Okay, if it is not given, it is not significant. If it is given, it is significant. C1, C2 are given, I have to consider kinetic energy. And Z1, Z2 are given, so I have to consider the change in potential energy. If this is something like compressor, where no, it's not like W dot is positive. So work is done by the system. Maybe it is something like turbine. Okay, so it is giving work. So W is used. I have to be careful about the sign convention. Okay, so because work is done by the system, we have given positive, and I have to find out Q dot 12. If it is a boiler, Q dot 12 will be given as a boiler, heat is added. So if it is condenser, heat is removed. If it is a compressor, work is given to the system. So you have to use that particular Q12 or W12, positive or negative sign convention, and then you can find out whatever is not given. First law for a closed system, we know that W12 is equal to integral PDV. Depending on the process relation, obtain the expression for P as a function of V and integrate it. So integral PDV can be integrated only if P is expressed in terms of V. Okay, that is the way only we have found out. Isochoric it is 0, isobaric is this, isothermal, adiabatic, polytropic, and this is a process relation, right? For isochoric, P1 by T1 equal to P2 by T2. That is from equation of state. Okay, V1 by T1 equal to V2 by T2. And here P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. And adiabatic, P1 V1 for gamma equal to P2 V2 for gamma. Like that we have relations. And these are work relations. And perfect gas, PV equal to MRT or NR bar T. And R is characteristic gas constant is equal to universal gas constant by molecular weight. And Cp minus Cv equal to R, Cp by Cv gamma. And Cp is gamma R by gamma minus 1, Cv is R by gamma minus 1. And you are supposed to know the values of Cp and Cv are for air. Okay, so 1.005 for Cp, 0.718 for Cv, 0.287 for R, and 1.4 for gamma. Okay, these things you have to remember. And also you have to remember the universal gas constant. Okay, that is the way we can find out. And once you do that, so all these things can be found out only if you know the properties. So you get the properties using these equation of state relations, and then work you can find out. Once you know that, you can find out change in enthalpy, change in internal energy if you know T1 and T2. And once you know that, you can use the first law equation Q12 is equal to U2 minus U1 plus W12. Okay, either for unit mass flow or the whole relation. So if you are given the mass flow, you should not forget. It should be in kilojoules. If it is not given, then you have to find out per unit mass flow kilojoule per kg. So you will be given initial state, obtain the properties at next state using process relations and equation of state. Calculate delta U, delta H, Q12, W12 for each process, either per unit mass or total properties. Okay. Okay, like Rankine cycle you are solving, and you have to go point to point again. And the only thing is you have to get the properties. Okay, so you have to see whether it is in this region or in this region or in this region. If you know the property of it, if the property at a particular pressure or temperature, if it is less than fluid property, that is UF, VF, HF, SF, it will be compressed liquid. If it is more than the Vg, Hg, Sg, then it is superheated. Okay, so if it is between these two values, it is in the wet region or liquid vapor mixture. Okay, so in the wet region, that is saturated region, you will be given only one P or T. Okay, P or T will be given. That is one property. The other property can be X or one of these VHs will be given. If X is given, you can just use this formula because I know that particular pressure or temperature. I know VF, VG, HF, HG, HFG, SF, HG, SFG from the tables. So I can find out what is V, H, and S at a particular state, knowing the dryness fraction. Suppose if you are given V, H, or S, then I have to first find out the dryness fraction using the same relations in another way. X is equal to V minus VF by VFG, or H minus HF by HFG, or S minus SF by SFG. Like that, first you find out the dryness fraction. Once you know the dryness fraction, the other two properties, you can use these relations. In that way, I can find out all the relations. I have to know V, H, and S. Okay, that is for saturated region. If your properties, if you know it is in superheated, or if you don't know, you have to check whether your property, one of the property, if it is given, and if it is more than this property at G, it is definitely superheated. So once you know that, you have to go to corresponding pressure table. Pressure definitely you will be knowing, so you have to go to the pressure table. In the pressure table, in the table, between two temperatures, it may fall. Yes, anybody?
సార్ మీ ఇంటర్నెట్ బ్రేక్ అవుతున్నట్టుంది సార్.
అవునా?
సార్
అని నేనేం చేయలేను మరి. ఓకే, కొంచెం గట్టిగా మాట్లాడగలను కానీ బ్రేక్ అవుతూ ఉంటే ఐ కెనాట్ డూ ఎనీథింగ్. ఓకే, జస్ట్ I think anyhow these things are known things only. It is a revision. Just if there is any difficulty, you can always ask me. Okay, I think most of the things you can make out. Okay, so P is given, and other than the P, the other property VHRS is given. So go to P table, check where this particular VHRS lies. It lies between two properties. If it exactly matches, no problem. The other two properties can be taken at the same row. But if it is between two values of enthalpy, okay, you are given enthalpy, it is between two values. So I have to know what is the corresponding temperature. Maybe one is at 300 and another is at 400, and this may be at 325 or 330 degrees centigrade. So I have to interpolate. If this temperature, this H, and this temperature, this H, for this H, what is the temperature? Okay, so you have to put the straight line relation and you have to solve it. So get the temperature. Once you get the temperature, maybe some 350, and then you get V and S again between 300 and 400. What is at 350, like that? So in that way, you have to find out V, H, and S. So I know all the properties there. Okay, so that is the way I have to take it. And when you come to the subcooled liquid, and you will be given pressure and temperature. So if you are knowing both of them, you have compressed liquid tables separately. But usually you need not use them, or you don't need much. But only thing is, what you can do is you go to that particular temperature table and see at that temperature table what are VF, HF, and SF, right? Whatever be the pressure, the change in the values will not be significant. So I can take VF, HF, and SF at a given temperature as the properties of the liquid, compressed liquid. Okay, so that is the way we have to do about it. Any doubts? Okay, then I go for unsteady flows. Unsteady flow, the complete equation I have to write: continuity, mass conservation, and energy conservation. The mass coming in, m dot I inlet, and mass at the exit is equal to change of mass, rate of change of mass of the control volume. Okay, so this is for unsteady flows. Mass entering minus mass leaving is equal to change of mass. Change of mass is m2 minus m1. m2 minus m1 means final mass and initial mass of the control volume. Okay, this is the mass conservation. And m dot is equal to rho AC or AC by V. Okay, A in meter square and C is in meters per second velocity, and small v is specific volume meter cube per kg. Okay, so that is the way I can find out the mass flow. And then coming to the energy conservation, so you can find out what is the energy entering minus energy leaving is equal to rate of change of energy of the control volume. So energy entering may be heat or work or mass. So energy enters through mass mi theta I, where theta is enthalpy plus kinetic energy and potential energy. So finally, because of some energy entering and some energy leaving, there may be change in the energy of the system. That is m2 E2 minus m1 E1, final energy minus initial energy. And this energy is U plus KE plus PE. And usually these two can be neglected. This kinetic energy and potential energy within the control volume, there will not be any change. Okay, so normally you will write m2 U2 minus m1 U1. Okay, that is the way we have to write. This is the unsteady flow. And then coming to the steady flow, mass entering will be equal to mass leaving, and dmCV by dt equal to 0. And the change of energy of this system with the time is also 0. So you will get m dot I, mass entering is equal to mass leaving is equal to m dot in general. Okay, so in this equation we can write like this: q dot is equal to m dot into theta E minus theta I plus w dot. Okay, so this is the equation. And if you write theta is equal to h c square by 2 and gz, this is the final steady state steady flow energy equation. Q12 is equal to h2 minus h1 plus c2 square minus c1 square by 2 plus g into z2 minus z1. Sorry, this is z2 minus z1 is equal to w12. This is joule per kg. You have to put all of them joule per kg. If you want to put kilojoule per kg, I have to divide kinetic energy and potential energy by 1000 and put W, Q, and H in kilojoule per kg. Okay, so that is the way we will get. Based on the data, you can ignore some of the terms, like and also you have to be careful about the sign convention. If it is a boiler-like thing, heat transfer to the system, Q is positive. If it is a condenser, heat transfer from the system, Q is negative. If it is a compressor, work is done on the system, W is negative. If it is a turbine, work is done by the system, W is positive. Like that, I have to know what is the sign convention I have to use. And based on the problem, as I told, whether these are given or not. If they are not given, I can ignore them. Okay. And actually, we have seen that this particular problem here, we have seen that the change in enthalpy is minus 486, change in kinetic energy is just 7, and change in potential energy is minus 0.0264. So these two are very insignificant in most of the problems, in thermal problems. Okay, so usually when you come to the Rankine cycle, vapor compression cycle, or Otto cycle, diesel cycle, in all those cycles, we neglect this change in kinetic energy and potential energy, and we will have only heat transfer, work transfer, and change in enthalpy. Okay, so that is the way we tackle steady flows or unsteady flows. That is about the first law. When you come to the second law, okay, it is very simple. So mainly these things you have to remember. If it is a heat engine reversible, heat engine efficiency is equal to 1 minus TL by TH. Okay, so this is TH minus TL by TH. In terms of heat and work, this is W output by Q input, heat input, W by QH, or QH minus QL by QH, or 1 minus QL by QH. So when you are given a problem, usually you will be given here I have given heat engine problem, TH and TL will be given. So immediately you can find out the efficiency. And after that, if QH is given, you have to find out W. And if W is given, you have to find out QH. Okay, because once I know the efficiency is equal to W by QH. Okay, so you will be asked, okay, if this much of input is given, what is the output? If this output is needed, what should be the input? Okay, once I know the efficiency, W by QH, that gives. Okay, so that is the way. And so similarly, COP, reversible refrigerator, COP of refrigerator is TL by TH minus TL, or QL by QH minus QL, or QL by W. Okay, so this is the way. You will be given, usually TL and TH will be given. First find out COP, right? And here QL is called as refrigerating effect. So there in refrigerator, QL is equal to refrigerating effect, it is called as. Okay. So you may be given this, if you want this much of refrigerating effect, what should be the power I have to spend? Okay, so W I have to find out. Or if I spend this much of work, what is the refrigerating effect I will get? So if you are given QL, find out W. If W is given, you find out QL. Okay, so that is the way. So first you have to calculate COP of refrigerator and then determine W or QL if other is given. Okay. In the same way here also, first calculate the efficiency using TH and TL, then determine W or QH if other is given. In the same way, coming to the heat pump also, COP of heat pump is TH by TH minus TL, or QH by QH minus QL, or QH by W. So again, if TL and TH are known, first you calculate COP, and once you know COP, again, if this much of heat is to be supplied to something, how much work is to be spent. If this much of work is spent, how much heat is supplied. Okay, that is the way I can find out. Usually these types of the problems you will get simple problems. Or you may be given some heat engines in series. Okay, if two heat engines are in series, this also we have done. Okay, heat engines are in series means the first engine, whatever heat is rejected, that will be the heat input to the next refrigerator, the next engine. Okay, so QL of first engine becomes QH of the next engine. So like that we will have series of engines. Okay, so then you can solve the problem in the same way as we have done here. And sometimes additional data will be given, like if both efficiencies are same, or if both works are same, and what is the final QH, what is the final, like all those things you can be asked. And other type of problems, you can be given heat engine running a refrigerator, or heat engine running a heat pump. This type of problem also we have solved. Okay, so there will be three reservoirs, T1, T2, T3, and heat engine will be working between T1 and T2, and refrigerator or heat pump will be working between T2 and T3. Okay, so first you have to using T1 and T2, you get the eta efficiency, and so if Q is given, W find out, or W is given, Q find out. So in that way you can get all these things for the engine. And once you get the work here, that work is supplied to the refrigerator or the heat pump. So W is known, and again the temperatures will be known. So these two temperatures will give you COP, And using COP and the W, you can find out both Qs. Okay, so in that way you can find out all the Qs and the W and all, and you can find out the whatever is asked. Okay, any doubts about this? So you may expect some problem on manometer, some problem on first law closed system, one problem on first law open system, and one problem on the second law, and bits also small problems you will get on the second law. So you have to be careful. And if you are confident, it's good. I want to make you confident. So what type of data will be given, and what will be asked, and how to tackle it. Okay. So that's what you have to know. Anything? Is everything clear? It will not be. You need not know about the theory of steam power plant or petrol engine and diesel engine. Cycle can be given to you, because cycle problems you should be able to solve. What, as I told, whatever be the number of processes, it is just number of processes. So go from the initial state to the next state, like that, and whatever is asked, we have to do. So it doesn't matter whether it is Otto cycle, diesel cycle, or Rankine cycle. Okay, again, I will tell you just how to tackle, suppose a Rankine cycle. Again, we'll just recollect what we have done. Okay, what will be given to you? You will be given the state 1. Okay, so P1. Okay, you will be given the pressure of the condenser and pressure of the boiler, and this temperature will be given to you. Okay, so this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So H1 is equal to HF at condenser pressure. Okay, so 1 I got. Only 2. For 2, what I have to do is W pump is equal to VF1 into P2 minus P1. Okay, VF1 is VF at PC. So this is PB minus PC. Okay, so this is equal to H2 minus H1. So this can be, VF can be obtained from the table. P boiler and P condenser are given, so I can find out this. So H2 is equal to H1 plus WP. So I can get H2. Next, coming to 3, boiler pressure is given, and superheated temperature you will be knowing. So using superheated tables, I can find out H3 and S3. Okay, so S3 is equal to S4. So here I have to find out what is the dryness fraction and also H4. So because at this condenser pressure, you find out SF, SFG, HF, HFG. And then X4 is equal to S4 minus SF4 by SFG4, and H4 is equal to HF4 plus X4 HFG. Okay, now I got H1, H2, H3, H4. Okay, so WT is equal to H3 minus H4, WP is equal to H2 minus H1, and W net is equal to WT minus WP, and QH is equal to H3 minus H2, and efficiency is equal to W net by QH. Okay, so this is the way sequentially you have to go. So you need not worry, it is Rankine cycle and it is pure substance, and some processes are not given properly or nothing. You have to know once it is given, steam power plant. Okay, so this is Rankine cycle. And what is the maximum data you want? Only these boiler pressure, condenser pressure, and this superheated temperature. Only these things you have to know. Okay, so this may be given as saturated temperature. If it is, then it will come like this only, right? So whatever be the thing, you have to do in this way. Okay, that is the way I have to deal with a Rankine cycle. And suppose I have an Otto cycle. So you have to know Otto cycle. Okay, like this. So you will be given P1, V1, T1. Okay, in addition to that, you will be given the compression ratio, right? Compression ratio is called RK is equal to V1 by V2. How much it is compressed. So this is the one you will be given. And another thing you will be given is either P3 or maybe you'll be given T3 or Qin. Okay, so this is the thing you have to get. Okay, P1, V1, T1. And this is isentropic, PV power gamma equal to constant. This is also PV power gamma equal to constant. This is V constant and this is V equal to constant. Okay, so I can get because V1 by V2 is given, and I know this T2 by T1 is equal to V1 by V2 to the power of 1 by gamma minus. And similarly, P2 by P1 is equal to V1 by V2 to the power of 1 by gamma. Okay, and so because V1 by V2 is known, I can find out P2 by P1 and T2 by T1. So that gives T2 and T2. Okay, point 2 is over. So for point 3, you may be given either T3 or Qn. So Q is equal to, because it is a constant volume, Cv into T3 minus T2. So because Q is given, this can be found out. So T3 can be obtained. Because it is a constant volume process, so P2 by T2 is equal to P3 by T3. So I can get what is P3. Okay, and V2 is equal to V3. So I got all the values. And again, if you want values at 4, so 4, because it is constant volume, V1 equal to V4. So, and so V3 by V4 is V2 by V1 only. This is V4 by V3. So this is V4 is equal to V1 and V2 equal to V3. So this compression ratio V4 by V3 also RK only. So with this, again, once you know the V4 and V3, I can get P4 and T4 because PV power gamma equal to constant. Once I know one property ratio, the other property ratios I can find out. So P4, V4, T4 also I can find out. I got all the properties. Okay, and if you want QL is equal to Cv into T4 minus T1. This is heat released. This is heat input. And the efficiency is equal to QH minus QL by QH. Or if you are asked to work, QH minus QL, this is the network. And if you want efficiency, WN by QH. Okay, so this is the simple way you can get. So if you want, I can show you the problem also. Actually, I got. So this is an Otto cycle problem. Okay, and I think the numbering is given a different way. Okay, Otto cycle problem. Okay, this is the one. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the problem is the engine working in the Otto cycle is supplied with air at P1 and T1 given. The compression ratio 8 is given. Heat supplied is 2100 kilojoule per kg. Calculate the maximum pressure and temperature of the cycle efficiency, and the mean effective pressure. Okay, there is something like mean effective pressure. Mean effective pressure means it is something like So this is the cycle, and if I draw an equivalent rectangle between the same lines, okay, having the same area, this width is same V1 minus V2, and so if I draw like this, this is the mean effective pressure. Okay, it is not that exactly, just PM into the area must be so this lower line will be fixed, and the upper line, this is mean effective pressure, and this area should be same as this cycle area. So that is called as mean effective pressure. Okay, so that is area under the curve. So this is an inclined one. So if I assume a rectangle and with lower line, okay, here this is the lower line, this is fixed, and what is the pressure here that gives me same area? So that is called as PM, or mean effective pressure, means W by the stroke volume V1 minus V2. So this is V1 and this is V2. This is the stroke volume. So this gives me the mean effective pressure. Okay, so that is that. Just one point like that. So here that is asked. So if you go to the problem way of solving, okay, T1 given, T1 is given. You have to put it in Kelvin, and this you have to put it in kilopascals. And the heat input is given 2100 kilojoule per kg, and the compression ratio is given as 8, which is equal to V1 by V2 or V4 by V3. Okay, gamma is 1.4. Okay, this is the cycle efficiency, the formula. Okay, you need not know this formula actually. Okay, but it is like a check. Okay, if you derive the efficiency, like Brayton cycle efficiency, we got 1 minus 1 by R power gamma minus 1 by gamma. So similar way here, 1 minus 1 by Rk to the power of gamma minus 1, where this is the compression ratio. Okay, knowing compression ratio, I can find out directly the efficiency without doing any problem, remaining problem, without knowing all pressures and temperatures. Directly I can find out the efficiency. Okay, then I have to go to the next point, 2. So V1 by V2 is 8, and V1 is RT1 by P1. Okay, so I get V1, and from this compression ratio, you get V2. And once I get V2, T2 by T1 is equal to V1 by V2 to the power of gamma minus 1 by gamma, so 2.3. In the similar way, P2 by P1 is V1 by V2 to the power of gamma, so you can get this 18.37 P2. So P2, V2, T2 are obtained. So T3 is obtained from the heat input. Q1 is equal to CV into T3 minus T2, so I get T3, which is the maximum temperature. Okay, and then P3, V3 by T3 is P2, V2 by T2. V2 is equal to V3, it's constant volume. So as I told, for constant volume, P3 by T3 is P2 by T2. And I already calculated T3, so I can calculate T3, which is maximum pressure. And so then network is the efficiency into QH. Okay, so you can find out like this, or in other way, you can find out TL minus T1, CV into TL minus T1, find out QL, and QH minus QL gives me network. So whichever way I can do. Okay, so W net is this, and which is equal to PM into V1 minus V2. So I can calculate what is mean effective pressure. In this way I can do. Even diesel cycle, whatever cycle, Brayton cycle, all cycles I can solve just by that simple thing. Okay, so this also you can solve it. You know already, that's why I didn't do the Brayton cycle. Anything else you like to discuss? Any questions? Once you know and confident about the basics, any type of problem, whatever be the number of process, whatever be the length of the problem, it doesn't matter. You should not get scared of it.
Sir, in the Otto cycle, they have only taken gamma minus 1, sir.
Yeah, gamma minus 1 only. And in Brayton cycle, it becomes gamma minus 1 by gamma. Okay, you need not know that because we didn't do that. It is in the last chapter, Otto cycle we will solve. At the time we derive expression for efficiency, which will come as 1 minus 1 by RK to the power of gamma minus 1. If it is Brayton cycle, then that is 1 minus 1 by R power gamma minus 1 by gamma. There, that is pressure ratio. Here, this is volume ratio or compression ratio. There is a difference there. Though it is R there, it is not the same. Is it clear? In Brayton cycle, that is pressure ratio. In Otto cycle, that is volume ratio. That's why it is gamma minus 1. And there, gamma minus 1 by gamma. Then, no doubts, all are confident. Okay, meanwhile also, when you start solving problems, you may get stuck somewhere, you may get some problem or doubt. You can always message me or mail me, right? I will respond. So just to mention for the students who are in chemistry cycle, it's also mostly the concepts like assignments and compounding are not that much. Okay, actually, compounding, it is not in this subject. Velocity compounding, pressure compounding, they are there in turbo machines. And IC engines also, now you don't need to know anything about IC engines. We have separate subject in IC engines. We deal with only cycles, just Otto cycle, diesel cycle. If given these properties, how to solve it. We need not know about how it works, what is the, what are all, how wall timing diagram, port timing diagram, and how the combustion takes place, and all those things, it comes under IC engine subject. Here you don't need all of them. Okay, it is just solving the cycle only. Only thing is why it is constant volume combustion. Okay, so how to solve the problem, you have to know. Is it okay? So then we will have a nice story. Actually, this story nowadays, I think they are coming in a school book also. It is about one great fellow, one inspiring fellow. It is about this fellow, Nick Vujicic. Okay, so a really inspiring personality. He was born with tetraamelia syndrome, a rare disorder characterized by the absence of all four limbs, no legs, no hands.